recently attended a seminar by John Barber on dry stone built structures, their history, technology and conservation, which was part of the ECA Masterclasses series organized by the Scottish Centre for Conservation Studies, where he referred to all monuments as palimpsests, within the context that these, as seen today, are real products of a sequence of change, and that conservation should be viewed as a process of change management within each heritage source and its cultural and physical context. Keeping this in mind, I would like to examine the statement by presenting you our project and put forward the following question. Does this fall within the criterion of authenticity within the UNESCO's World Heritage Guidelines? The building is an A-listed historic complex which sits within the old town of Edinburgh, characterized by its survival of the medieval fishbone street pattern of narrow closes, wings and courts, leading off the spine formed by the High Street, the broadest and longest street in the old town. Its life began in 1632, where the first foundation stone was laid by the architect Sir James Murray, and opened its doors in 1640, as shown here in the illustration. The building was L-shaped on plan with a predominant Scottish baronial facade. Its main block and wing had 3 stories with the whole of the upper 2. In 1660, some restoration work was done to the interior of the main block, and in 1804 till 1808, new additions, 1st and 2nd divisions, were erected by architect Robert Reid, the King's architect as so he was called, resulting in a new facade which enclosed the original block. In 1819, the south rear elevation of the Great Hall had a Gothic window constructed by Archibald Elliott, as you can see I'm highlighting the red square. And in 1822, a banquet was held there by the city of Edinburgh for King George IV. This is a nice illustration showing what it looked like. Other important dates marking new alterations were in 1827 by Architect William Byrne at the east part of the complex, and 8 years later the neoclassical inspired facade was extended again by Robert Reid. In 1868, the Great Window had a stained glass installed by Maximilian Müller of Munich, a German glass painter who also did the windows of Glasgow Cathedral. And of course, not forgetting to mention the elegant oak court by W.T. Aldreve, which was constructed at the back of the original building by altering parts of the rear south in 1907. This is just an existing survey we did, just showing the general state of the court. More recently, in 1992, architect W. Michael Normand erected a new element to the rear east side of the complex, that's shown here in picture 7. And in 1999, internal modifications took place in the library and other parts on the upper floors by LDN architects. And last, IBIS involvement began in 2005, when we were appointed to reinstate this historic complex as a great monument of its kind, and with sensitive interventions demonstrating that it can be readapted once again successfully to the needs and functions of a state-of-the-art 21st century facility. As a result of the building's continuum over time, through successive occupancies and numerous extensions and alterations, it was challenging to identify which parts were authentic within the conservation guidelines. Thus, our team treated every element and fabric with equal significance. The project works were separated into 3 main phases due to its complexity, but also to allow it to operate throughout the construction period. It took 7 years to complete. A selection of images which follow will show the variety of implementations for its preservation and respective refurbishment. Of notable mention is the 17th century Great Hall, as shown here, with its ornately carved open beam oak timber ceiling, a rare example, one of only several of its type to survive in Scotland. Works involved was mainly dry cleaning of the polygonal-shaped timber arches rising from the carved stone corbels, rewiring and new energy-saving lights, safe maintenance access above the ceiling's radial members, redecoration of walls, and part repair of existing 17th century Italian woodwork and floor. In other parts, architectural details smothered by decades of dust, pollutants, and an overload of services and wiring were removed, cleaned, prepared, and redecorated. Damaged, intricate decorated atriums with floral and classical patterns cast in plaster were infill painted using reversible materials, and boarded glazing skylights restored and brought back to life. These are just a few examples of those skylights. Walls and woodwork, some revealed, some too fragile to handle, were treated, enhanced, or simply cleaned by local specialists following numerous investigations in order to ensure the historic fabric remains unaltered. injecting new contemporary designs as part of our brief and utilizing natural materials friendly towards the historic environment such as wood, glass, stone, we aim to keep the old and the new separate and clearly identified, but also in harmony with each other. It's just a few internal shots of various rooms. Furthermore, a new bridge link and a rear emergency stair were also introduced to the project to aid circulation space, but also to comply with guarded building regulations, although I have to admit with somewhat Herculean effort in receiving the necessary approvals. If you have not already thought about it, you're probably wondering why I have refrained from mentioning the name of Ballet. Well, it's because during our engagement the building was referred to us as the Old Lady. And out of respect for the elderly, we do not call her by name, but we've kept our promise to take good care of her. My last slide is a favorite of mine, as it reminds me of the human nature in all of us. Whatever our backgrounds, whether we're conservators, architects, builders, spectators or speculators, we all have a part to play in our ever-changing environment. And in this case, towards our dear old lady. Whether that is good or not.